Hello there, welcome to my Blu-ray review of Shaolin Plot, released by Eureka Entertainment, a classic kung fu movie that I'd never seen up until this release. So Eureka, thank you so much for releasing this. It was so nice to see some new Sammo Hung that I'd never seen before, and I've seen a lot of Sammo films. I'd never seen this before. So I've watched it for the first time this week. It came out on Monday, so I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and impressions on it, what I thought, what I liked, what I didn't like, that kind of thing. It was released in 1977. We'll just get into it really. Like I say, some facts and things about the film, what I liked, didn't like, if it's a good film, that kind of thing. So it's released in 1977. It's directed by Huang Feng and starring Sammo Hung, James Tien, Chen Hsing, Casanova Wong, and Huang Feng most famous and notable for working with Angela Mao on films like Lady Whirlwind, Hapkido, Taekwondo Strikes. These kind of films, these are sort of what set him up as a director and what he was most famous, well known for. And Sammo Hung actually was the action choreographer on a lot of these films directed by Huang Feng. And it's worth noting as well, I'm sure probably many of you know this anyway, but Sammo was actually sort of Huang Feng's sort of protege, like his student, like his mentor in regards to learning filmmaking, the industry, kung fu cinema, getting himself into sort of when Sammo was just starting out and he was a rookie and he was new, and it was Huang Feng who sort of took him under his wing and sort of like, I'll show you how this is done, I'll show you how this is, this can be done. Just that, and it's a lot of people know that, and it's not until Sammo Hung directed his first film, Iron Fisted Monk, which was actually also Huang Feng had a lot to deal with. Like, I think he wrote it, I believe, or produced it. It might have been both, I'm not sure. But we'll get more into that in a minute. As I say, James Tien is in this film. Many of you will know him from the Bruce Lee, like Big Boss. He's one of his most notable roles. He's also in a lot of the Jackie Chan early low way vehicles. He's also, oddly enough, a villain in a lot of the 1980s Sammo Hung films from the classic golden age of kung fu cinema. He often turns up as, like I said, he worked with Sammo on quite a number of films. And a lot of people now sometimes get this film confused with Iron Fisted Monk, actually, because it came out the same year, which I mentioned earlier was directed by Sammo, and again starring Chen Hsing, who's also in this film. And it was Hung's directorial debut, as I say. And I think Huang Feng definitely wrote or produced or had something to do with in some way. And I say it's worth noting that it was Huang Feng who actually, like I say, who actually Sammo Hung's mentor during the actor's early career when starting out with the industry, having offered Sammo guidance, experience, advice, and usually working as Sammo's usually, let's say, the action choreographer in a lot of the Angela Mao films like Hapkido, that kind of thing. Though the fights, getting into this film in particular, though the fights and the action set pieces usually take first place in kung fu movies, it was nice to see here a film where the two can sort of coexist, because this film, although the plot, there's certain scenes that do drag a little bit, and sometimes the dialogue passages do go on a bit longer than necessary. It was one of them plots that it really did hold my interest. It wasn't a typical sort, although the plot can be deemed as somewhat typical, it was done in a very nice spin kind of way. It was done, it's one of them films that actually, that I will tell you here and now that I think it will gradually become one of my favourites. I can't wait to watch it again. I cannot wait to watch it again. There is so much in this film I want to tell you about, but at the same time I don't want to ruin it for you. I really don't want to give you any spoilers. If you've watched the trailer from Eureka Entertainment, it's sort of, you get an idea for it. But this film, from start to finish, is quite a longer film. It's not just your standard 90 minutes. It's pushing, I think, 110 minutes. So it's pushing nearly 10 minutes off the 2 hour mark. Sammo here is in full villain mode, which is wonderful to see. It's all, especially when Sammo is in character mode and he's got a unique look, which in so many of his films he does. But in this film, like I say, he is pure villain mode, and it is just a treat to see him do this. It really is. And he's just for his very fancy haircut, if nothing else. His haircut is absolutely a sight to behold. And he's using some traditional prayer symbols to a very good effect. Most notably chopping people's heads off, really. So, that's one way to use some prayer symbols. And But he just steals the show, Sammo, as he often does, and still, when any film he's in, he steals the scene. So Sammo Hung just having an absolute blast in this, you can tell. And as I think it was the last time him and Huang, after Iron Fisted Monk, worked together, because I think after that, Sammo was more than ready to sort of go and venture on his own and, create and craft his own career. And there's some great cinematography in this film as well. We'll mention there's some great locales, exposition showing off, especially around the Shaolin temples. It's not just sort of set based. They really do make use of the locations of the temple in question, and they really do sort of show it off and just really give the film a bit of depth and scope when filming on location. And so this is a film I'd never seen before up until this point. I'd never glanced on this film at all. So it's a real treat for me to see one from so long ago that I'd never seen. I mean, I pride myself in that I've seen quite a number of Kung Fu movies. I'm not saying I've seen every single one. I'm not saying I've seen, the bulk of that, but I have seen quite a lot from 70s, 80s, 60s. I've got some knowledge of it without sort of saying like I'm bragging, but I do have some knowledge and the people in them who directed it, that kind of thing. I say it was just nice to see a film I'd never seen before, and it's one I was really impressed with, really impressed with. And so the plot centers around Hsing as like an evil prince who's determined to track down every Kung Fu instruction manual. He manages to get his hands on the Wu-Tang manual, and then he sets his sight on getting the Shaolin manual. And he basically pretends to be deaf and dumb in order to gain access, so he can sort of infiltrate sort of where they keep their books and their scriptures and just read up on their technique. It's worth noting he is often regarded to be like the Hong Kong Charles Bronson. That is sort of what he's known as. As I say, he was also in Iron Fisted Monk with Sammo Hung, which also had a brief moment from Casanova Wong, who's also in this film as well. So I think that's where sometimes a lot, where they come out the same year as well, these films are sort of, everybody's seen Iron Fisted Monk, but not everybody's seen this film. That's what I say. I'm just really so happy I've seen this film. The film does not shy away from violence, as many films didn't in them days. One monk in particular in this film, he really doesn't have a good run in this film. This monk, this one guy, I'm not entirely sure who he's played by, but basically he gets blinded. Then they make him step on some spikes. Then they set fire to his house, and then they set fire to him. So that is one bad day at the office, if you ask me. This one monk in particular does not have a good run. He really does not have a good run at all in this film. And although it can be argued James Tien is the lead, it really is Chen Hsing who really comes through in this film, like I say. And I've seen him in a multitude. He was also in New Fist of Fury with Jackie Chan, if you've seen that. As I say, Iron Fisted Monk are two of his other notable roles. But it's him who, even though he is sort of the villain, they all sort of do get equal screen time. You get some James Tien, then you, like I say, get some Chen Hsing, then you get some Sammo there mixed in. And it's really nice to see sort of like an ensemble cast sort of just juggling it. It's not like it's a James Tien movie all the way through, even though it can be argued he is sort of the lead in this film. As mentioned, this was the last time Sammo worked with Huang Feng, and he's ready to go on to do amazing, wonderful things in the world of Kung Fu cinema. And regarding the Shaolin plot, as I say, I will try not to give too much away about the plot. I don't want to give too many spoilers here. I don't want to, just like I say, ruin the film completely for you. I don't want it to make out like there's no point you watching it now, because let's face it, you don't watch these kind of films for the plot. Nobody does. You like an interesting story, but we're here for the fights. We're here for some good action, that kind of thing. I will say the end of this film is a sight to behold, though. The ending to this film is absolutely phenomenal. And it's one of the endings that I didn't realise how good it was until it was over, if that makes sense. Like, once the ending had finished, I was like, that was friggin' awesome. Basically, Casanova Wong, who is a renowned, amazing kicker. An amazing, absolutely amazing kicker. He is in this film, and it was funny up to the point, because he's on the cover and it says introducing Casanova Wong, and you'd seen him briefly as like a monk, and that was it. I thought, well, is that it? I mean, does he get more in this film? Does he get more screen time? Does he do anything? I say, if you don't know Casanova Wong, he's most famous for being Cashier Hoy in Warriors 2. That was one of like the most role he's most famous for. the greenhouse fight in the Game of Death and Game of Death 2, if you've seen that. It's sometimes intertwined into both versions. But basically at the end, he's finally able to let loose, and he shows off some amazing kicks and footwork at the end of this film, and in many ways it's the ultimate showcase to his skills, the end of this film. It really is. He performs this amazing combo against Chen Hsing, and I will not ruin it for you. I will not even show it, put a clip up, anything, but it's one of them films, when you see it you will know it, and it is. I had to wind it back 3 or 4 times. I had to go back and just watch it again. This combo kick that he does, it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But if you, as I say, if you want, when you do see it, if you do watch it, you'll know the exact bit I mean. You will know. I was a bit puzzled as to why James Tien at the end, it was sort of Casanova, Wong, and this other monk who sort of took over, and I've forgotten the guy's name. Quan, I think actually he's on the back of the cover. Just quickly, Young Moon Quan is his name, and he was in like films like Dragon Lord. He was in Spooky Encounters 2 with Sammo, and them two sort of take over from James Tien. And I was also like, so why suddenly the monks have taken over and they're going after the villain? But I did read somewhere, because I thought, oh, that's different. But I did read somewhere, I think James Tien was injured at the time, so they had to sort of give it to Casanova and this other guy to sort of take over the end fight duties. I did read somewhere that he was injured. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But a Shaolin plot, absolutely amazing. Really, really good kung fu movie from '77, and a really great end to the Huang Feng and Sammo relationship. And it's often, like I say, it's often overlooked as by Unfisted Monk, and was, like I say, was the last collaboration between the two. And it's often forgotten about in many circles. So, as I say, credit to Eureka for bringing this out and just giving it a new leash of life, and allowing people like me who've never seen it before to actually see it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I say, and I can't wait to watch it again. And I highly, highly advise you check it out and just give it a time of day and just watch a really good kung fu movie. And it was just, like I say, it was just really amazing to see a Sammo film I'd never seen before. It really was. It was just nice to see Sammo in a new role, like a role even though I've done years and years ago, but I'd never seen it. So next, Eureka, could we please maybe have Dead and the Deadly with Sammo?